Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Edit Place, and today we're going to be talking about my new film reel, which I just finished last week. And so I want to talk about it, kind of how I organize and make film reels and why they're important. So, yeah. So obviously film reels are great for getting clients, showing your best work, and it's just good compilation. Let me mute this for now. And, yeah, I know a lot of people make different types of film reels, but I'm pretty happy with this one. I kind of had to make it at this point because I'm looking to do some different type of work, and so I need to update. Usually I make a new one every like 6 months, but it's actually been like almost 2 years since I've made one. And so yeah, so basically the first thing that I do is find the music. And this takes the longest. I've literally been, periodically looking for music for the past 4 months just for a new film reel. And I got mine from MusicBed. Now, film reels are the one time that I don't really worry about copyright because when I upload this to YouTube, I'm most likely keeping it as unlisted, turning monetization off. And so I don't really care about copyright. So I happened to find a MusicBed song that I really liked, but there have been film reels in the past that I just straight up use, like that's on a top 40 list somewhere. So my opinion, at least, is like, don't worry about copyright too much. Obviously, if you don't have permission to use it, like if the artist clearly states like, hey, don't use my stuff, obviously don't argue with that. But generally, you can use any song. It's just, if you put it at a place like YouTube and turn monetization on, any money you make from people viewing that's going to go to the artist, as it should. So there's that, unless you buy the copyrights. But anyway, you can see that I have a couple song choices here, and you notice that they're kind of chopped up. So a lot of people make film reels like pretty long. And I'd say the average that I hear most professionals talk about is around 2 minutes. And I really have always followed Stepped Studios. Their current reel is a little bit longer, but the previous one was literally 59 seconds. It was 1 minute long. And so each shot was literally like a second. It was crazy. And their new one's not too much longer. But when I see people have like 4 or 5 minute reels, like if you're just making it as a compilation, kind of like almost like a little tribute to yourself so you can see how you've progressed in the past year or however long it's been, then fine, make it as long as you want. But if you're sending this to clients, 4 or 5 minutes is really long. Especially don't save your best shots for that like 3-4 minute. It's not like a normal video where you want to build up to your best. A lot of times you want to open with some of your best shots. And I always like to show a variety, so I usually open on like a drone shot. And then I really like the lighting and composition of this. Like it's all around a good shot. Get some action in there, get some movement. Like I'm basically putting some of my best, at least projects or hero shots in the first 15 seconds of this in order to grab people. I'm not starting out with like the worst shots and then slowly building, because every second that goes by, you're going to lose viewers. That's just how it works. So this entire reel is only 1 minute and 4 seconds. And so that's why I chop up these songs, because obviously most songs are, 3, 4, 5 minutes long. And so I usually find the parts that are repetitive, or I kind of just chop it up. I am not a music producer by any stretch of the imagination, but most songs blend pretty well if you know what to look for. And I don't know the terminology, but if you kind of go with like the intro, the first verse, and then kind of skip to maybe the second chorus that plays rather than the first one, because it's not fully built up. So that way it builds faster. And then you cut towards like the big transition to the, big riser at the end or something like that. And if you do have problems blending, that's where sound design will really come into play. This reel, actually, I don't have any. I was kind of sad, but most of the shots didn't really call for it. So the one or two that did, it just kind of seemed off. But I did put this like cinematic boom here at the end. So that way when she hits the ground, you can hear it there. So that wasn't included in the music, but it works, kind of blends it in. Playback's ruined here. Quarter resolution. Here we come. I'm sure that still doesn't look great with the screen recording. So yeah, so if you're having issues like blending two parts of music, adding sound design that works with the clips, or adding like a riser or something from a place like Soundly or anywhere that you can get sound effects will really help blend things together as well. Now, when it comes to organizing the media, so I keep everything kind of organized into this. And so I'll just start going through my folders and literally just work my way back till whenever, like I said, it's been basically 2 years since I made my last reel. So I basically looked at 2021, 2020, and then some of 2019 I dipped into as well, if the shots still hold up. And this is why I am always a fan of keeping raw footage, because, you know, you get better over time. And so something that I shot, 2 years ago, when I edited it into whatever the project was at the time, odds are, especially for coloring and stuff, odds are it looked very different at the time. And so the fact that I can just... Dog shook herself out. The fact that this is all still shot in RAW, and I can just grab it anytime I want and color grade to my skill level now, it just fits so much better. So a lot of this stuff, shouldn't say a lot, but like a couple of these shots, like I don't have the old grade, but this looks a lot better, and I still know some areas that I could clean up a little bit better, but this looked atrocious before. But at the time, I thought it was awesome. So if you have the storage solution, I definitely recommend keeping the raw footage when you can, especially if it's like the hero shot that you may end up bringing up again. And then once you kind of get all your media in here, you kind of just start going through shots. And normally I just lay them out on a timeline. So if this was my music over here, literally I just started grabbing, I would, bring my two up here and I'd go through whatever shots. And if this was like super great, I'd set my in and out points and be like, yes, definitely want to use that. And so I'll just line a bunch of those shots up, and then I just kind of start pulling them over. And then it just comes, a bunch of time of just playing around, mixing, matching shots. Definitely ask friends and family for opinions. Find people who aren't just going to be like, oh, it looks great, I'm so happy for you. Actually, people, a lot of this was like, oh, that shot doesn't make sense here or something. So that's why you see kind of stacks, is because originally it was this shot. And then it was like, and, it just wasn't that great or didn't fit. So I'd rather have this shot. This was covered up by this. I really liked this AirPod shot, but the lighting just wasn't as good. It wasn't as good of a shot as I had hoped. And so I had an emotional tie to it. And then Michelle was like, nah, it doesn't fit, doesn't look clean. And so we brought in another shot. And so you just kind of do that a bunch. And then you want to make sure that you're including clips for the type of work that you want. And so a lot of film reels in the past have just been super weird, like hodgepodge of footage. And I do believe that you will succeed more if you become focused in toward one sort of niche. Now, if you like to do weddings and you like to do products and you like to do cars, that's fine. But you kind of have to make, in my opinion, 3 different reels for each of those. Because if I were to have some emotional music with a bride walking down the aisle and then it cuts to a Lamborghini like doing a burnout or something, it's just gonna like your target audience, no matter which one you're sending it to, is going to be like, okay, well, if this guy's not, all in on one type of work, doesn't really make sense. So for this reel, I made sure that the focus was clear, that it was product lifestyle is what I love to shoot. And so whether the product is a big car or it's a little, handy recorder tech device or whatever it is, all of these ads had to do with some sort of product. And so I wanted to make sure that's like, hey, I can shoot products, different materials and designs, and then also I can film people using said products. And so that's what these are all kind of wrapping around. And stuff like this is why I definitely recommend people update their film reel every year or so, because you're just going to get that much better at making them rather than waiting 5 years and then you never really get the practice you want. Just be open to playing around and, again, get multiple opinions from people and take your time on it. Make it look as good as you can. This shot was really fun because this I did not have the raw clip for. Let me turn it off. This is what it looked like before, and it may not look like a world of difference, but again, I wish I had the raw footage because I'd be able to push it to be even better. But you can see that at the time, I thought this was one of the best shots that I ever got. I was like, oh, it's got fire. It's all dramatic and HDR looking. And that's true and all, but when I modernize my color grade, you basically can see that the whites are now actually white. They almost look desaturated when I flip it back and forth, but that's just because this was so blue. The blue tint was everywhere. And so now we can see it's come out of here. And again, I know now it feels like almost a little bit too much green, but it started to look funky when I was pulling back the green because, again, this wasn't a raw clip that I was pulling from. But anyway, I think it looks better now. And so that's that. So let me know down in the comments below. I would love to see your guys' reel if you have them. Leave a link to them. Maybe I'll check them out. Comment if you want any feedback or anything. I'll be happy to check them out. You can let me know any advice, criticism on mine. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.